Yarmouk refugee camp photographed on the 28th of April. Omar Sanadiki. ReutersSyria's Yarmouk camp lies today in ruins with hardly a single building that has not been destroyed or damaged, the United Nations stated this week. The Syrian military announced in recent days that it had taken full control of Yarmouk camp and surrounding areas on Monday following a month-long operation aimed at routing armed insurgents from southern Damascus. Fighters with the Islamic State group evacuated the camp by bus and were said to have retreated to the north of the country. The entirety of the Syrian capital and its suburbs were once again under full government control for the first time since the 2011 popular protests and subsequent civil war. While the Syrian government declared victory, Yarmouk camp, formerly the heart of the country's Palestinian refugee community, has been reduced to rubble. Yarmouk was once the thriving home of 160,000 Palestinians. Today it lies in ruins, with hardly a house untouched by the conflict. Chris Gunness, spokesperson for UNRWA, the UN Agency for Palestine Refugees, told Agence France Presse. The public health system, water, electricity, basic services for life are severely damaged. The debris of this pitiless conflict is everywhere, he said. In that environment, it is hard to see how people can go back. Images coming out of UNRWA ready to conduct a needs assessment as soon as possible. State of our installations, including schools and clinics, also unclear. Mohammed Abdi Adar, at Mohammed Adar, May 22, 2018. Reduced to rubble. AFP's correspondent reported that in Yarmouk, an arena of fighting since late 2012, buildings had been reduced to mound after mound of smashed concrete and rubble. Much of that destruction was incurred over the past few weeks as the camp was repeatedly hit in airstrikes and by surface-to-air missiles. Islamic State fighters set fire to their positions before retreating from the camp. I was born in. Now it's gone, it feels I am gone, too. Pic via at RamisAFadi93, pic.twitter.com/QXNWFS, Fadi Al-Qadi at Qadi, May 21, 2018. We received images from our family building and home in. It's a skeleton of rubble. Photo is private. pic.twitter.com/x1u8jbij, Dimasar Sour, at Yasmin Wikawa, May 22, 2018. When you wake up and find your father sent you this video from pic.twitter.com/slap8dnxbc, Faraz Kalani, at Faraz Kalana BC, May 22, 2018. Some 100 to 200 civilians, including elderly and sick persons unable to relocate, are still believed to be living in the devastated camp, according to UNRWA. Civilians killed. Around 30 Palestinian residents were killed over the past month, according to the Action Group for Palestinians of Syria. On Saturday, 5 members of a single Palestinian refugee family were reported killed in bombing in the camp. 3 members of a Syrian family were also reported killed. On Friday, 85-year-old Thahiba Fad Abu Rasht, originally from Haifa in Palestine, was killed by bombing in the camp. Hundreds of fighters among both the armed insurgents and pro-government forces were killed during the month of fierce battle over the camp, the Syrian Observatory for Human Rights told media. Very saddened by the news that 3 elderly civilians were shot by a sniper while trying to leave Yarmouk camp. One was a Palestine refugee, he was 77 years old. UNRWA continues to call for the safe passage of civilians from. Since then, electricity and water supplies to the camp have been cut and a complete siege was imposed by government forces and allied groups in July 2013. Dozens in the camp starved to death that following winter, and many more were killed during clashes and ongoing shelling and strikes on Yarmouk. In April 2015, the camp was infiltrated by fighters with the Islamic State group, and various armed factions vied for control of this southern gateway to Syria's capital. UNRWA has been unable to deliver humanitarian aid directly to Yarmouk since it was seized by Islamic State. Talks to rebuild underway. Witnesses reported that Syrian government forces looted Yarmouk's Palestine hospital, and prevented Palestine Red Crescent Society crews from entering the building earlier this week. An official with the Palestine Liberation Organization told media that discussions with UNRWA concerning the rebuilding of Yarmouk were underway. The next step after liberation is combing the area, removing rubble, and assessing the damage to rebuild and bring infrastructure back so civilians can return, Anwar Abdulhadi told AFP. The final destruction and depopulation of Yarmouk, long considered the capital of the Palestinian refugee diaspora, coincided with the commemoration of the 70th anniversary of the Nakba catastrophe. Some 750,000 Palestinians ended up as refugees following the ethnic cleansing of Palestine before, during and after the declaration of the State of Israel in 1948. Israel has refused to let Palestinians exercise their right of return to their lands and properties because they are not Jews. Palestinians living in Yarmouk as well as other refugee camps in Syria and beyond have been subjected to one displacement after another during 7 decades of exile and statelessness. Nar al-Bared in the north of Lebanon was left destroyed after a summer-long battle between that country's army and Salafi militants who had infiltrated the refugee camp in 2007. More than 10 years later, that camp has still not been fully rebuilt and many of its residents remain displaced. Tags